Next, we have alliteration. This figure of speech has to do with repetition of consonant sounds, but only at the beginning of words that are close together in a sentence. Let's take the definition down. Is the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words that are close to each other. So repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words that are close to each other. Two things. It should be at the beginning of the word, and the words should be close to each other, either side by side or a word or two words in between. Anything longer, alliteration is no more effective. And take note, we are dealing with consonant sounds. It doesn't have to be the letters. For example, you can have keep calm. This is being repeated at the beginning of both words. Keep calm. So you don't say, oh, this is K, this is C. It's not alliteration. No, we are dealing with the sound. Sounds are different from letters. So consonant sounds are different. You pronounce. And if you are confused about that, you can check our videos on consonant sound where we really differentiated between consonant sounds and consonant letters. So keep calm, or you could have sounds shallow. Here, they both begin with the same consonant letter, but they do not have the same sound. So let's take note. It's not about the sound, it's not about the letters, but about the sound that the letters produce. So when we're talking of alliteration, we're dealing with the consonant sound that begins the word. So if it is next to it and they are same consonant sounds, we say alliteration. Common tongue twisters that we know fall under alliteration. Another example would be Father Francis fried 5 fishes for 5 fathers. So you can see the sound being repeated at the beginning of these words. So that's alliteration. Or some senior students stole cigarettes. Some senior students stole cigarettes. So you can see this sound being repeated here. So alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sounds in words that are close to each other. They should be close to each other, and the same consonant sound is repeated at the beginning of the words. Common alliteration or in everyday speech, you have money matters. Money matters. Picture perfect. Busy bee. Words like that. No nonsense. Those are examples of alliteration. Then next we have consonants. Consonance is similar to alliteration because they both deal with consonant sounds. But while alliteration is just the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words, consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds. So whether the consonant sound is at the beginning or at the middle or at the end of the word, it doesn't matter. As long as the same consonant sound is repeated in words close to each other. So we can say alliteration is like a form of consonance. We define consonance is the repetition of a consonant sound in words that are close to each other. In a sentence. So as long as the same consonant sound is in this word, is in this word, the position doesn't matter. Whether the consonant sound is at the beginning or at the middle or at the end. Let's use an example. It's a matter of time. So we have here is at the middle, here is at the middle, here is also at the middle, here is at the beginning, but it doesn't matter for consonants. All we are just dealing with is that a particular sound is repeated. It's a matter of time. You can see the or a little later. The sound is also repeated. She sells shells by the seashore. Sh, sh, sh. Or even this. So you see, for consonants, it's not about the beginning like it is in alliteration. As long as the sound is repeated in the word, we say it is consonants. The same consonant sound is repeated in the sentence. So the position doesn't matter. Why for alliteration? It has to do with the beginning. The consonant sound has to be in the beginning of words that are close to each other. Take note, for both, the words should be close to each other. Otherwise, the purpose is defeated. If there are like so many words in between, you can't call it alliteration or consonant. Next, we have assonance. Assonance is the opposite of consonance. Assonance is the opposite of consonance. While consonance has to do with consonant sound, assonance has to do with vowel sound. So we say it is the repetition of a vowel sound. Of a vowel sound in words close in a sentence. So assonance and consonance are similar. Consonance repetition of consonant sound. Assonance is repetition of vowel sounds. Same way, it doesn't matter. The vowel sound could be at the beginning of the word, it could be at the middle of the word, or it could be at the end of the word. It does not mean, as long as the same vowel sound is repeated in words that are close to each other. Take note, the words should be close to each other. Not like you have four words in between and then you say, oh, alliteration or consonants. No, they should be close to each other, either next to each other or maybe a word in between. You can still classify it as assonance. Now, assonance is majorly found in our queen primer, a big pig. A fat cat sat on a mat. Our queen primer has lots of assonance. The sound is repeated, repeated in the words. So here now we cannot say a, and a here is assonance. No, the words in between are way too much for this to even work. So they should be close to each other. Here you have just two words in between. So we can still say it is assonance. But once it's more than it, it becomes too long and the figure of speech loses its effect. So that's alliteration, repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sound in words, as long as the words are close to each other and the consonant sound is repeated. Whether it's found in the beginning, it's found at the end, it's found at the middle, it does not matter for consonants. Then assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in words that are close to each other in sentences. Same thing for consonants. The vowel sound can be at the beginning, can be at the end, it can be at the middle. Now, these figures of speech help to create a flow in writing, and it also aids remembering. When you use these figures of speech, it becomes easy to remember. Probably that's what they were going for with Queen Primer. They needed children to be able to remember what they read or what they are learning in terms of learning how to read. So these figures of speech create a flow and they help the reader remember easily.